Appreciate it. But why is it called Hoosiers? That's a good question. Hoosiers are the nicknames of people that live in Indiana. So listen, Hoosiers is a very dated movie. Your mic is still too low. I don't think it is. So Hoosiers is a very dated movie. It came out in 1986, and it is I really like Hoosiers. I know that it's not going to appeal to everyone. The aesthetics of an 80s sports movie might not play cool for everyone. But I'm a big fan of Hoosiers. I think getting to see Dennis Hopper and Gene Hackman together is great. Now, you might not know this, but the director of this movie also directed another sports movie that is widely considered the greatest sports movie of all time in Rudy. So it's David Anspaugh, and he kind of had a penchant for directing movies about underdog sports teams. But everybody's seen Rudy, and very few people have seen Hoosiers. I think it's really interesting to see the 1980s kind of filmmaking and sports style kind of take form in Hoosiers. You forget how long ago this movie was made. Yeah, I love it. It's actually a great movie to track because I think there are a lot of basketball movies made by like Disney Channel and otherwise where the basketball is kind of ridiculous. And while this movie is a little hokey, I think they do a good job of like creating basketball that looks real, creating real characters, just telling a very concise story. And I think there's a lot of heart. I think one thing that Hoosiers accomplishes well is that it tells obviously an inspirational story, but it doesn't get like too hokey. I think Dennis Hopper's story is like pretty real in that he's an alcoholic and he's not perfect, but he finds a reason to get better. And Gene Hackman's a guy on his second try. And Barbara Hershey is fantastic in this movie because I love that in a sports movie, there's like a character who's like, I don't give a shit about basketball. I think fucking basketball is stupid, but I'm a part of this town and I believe in this town and I believe what you're doing for the town is cool. And I think that element of it is very appealing to perhaps an audience that isn't so keen on sports. And you can kind of see it is interesting when there are like nowhere towns, sports are so important. I went to a boarding school out in the middle of fucking nowhere and sports were so important because there was nothing else fucking going on. So I do think that sport, has this role of entertaining and bringing people together. And Hoosiers is a very positive, happy way of demonstrating the love of basketball and sports and all of the above. I know that this movie is not going to be everybody's favorite. I know that this isn't going to be one that hits all the criterion like notes and people aren't going to get super excited about Hoosiers, but Gene Hackman died this year. The fucking Hoosiers actually won the national championship and we've never watched a sports movie outside of The Waterboy. And so, this film class is about having a diverse repertoire. And so, hey, we watched Hoosiers. So if anybody has any questions about this movie or other movies or sports movies or the era or Gene Hackman or anything, go ahead. Do car movies count as sport? Yeah, for sure. Any Given Sunday. I love Any Given Sunday. Whoa, wow, Al Pacino in a sports movie. I think Any Given Sunday, unfortunately, was way ahead of its time. I think if Any Given Sunday came out after like the CTE movement in football, where they acknowledged that like these athletes were being treated so fucking horribly, and we kind of took a good hard look at the industry of football from an outsider perspective, I think Any Given Sunday would have performed better. But when Any Given Sunday came out in 1999, I don't think people were ready for this like ultra dark, gritty look at football and how brutal it was and how these guys were killing themselves and, you know, the drugs and the abuse to their bodies. But I do think Oliver Stone fucking smashed that movie. I do. It's one of my favorite sports movies, but it's kind of the antithetical sports movie. You know what I mean? Almost every sports movie ever made is like, look at the power of sports. This is wonderful. And Any Given Sunday was like, look at how fucking twisted the NFL has become. Like these rich gluttons all killing each other. You know, it just wasn't. It was so far ahead of its era that I think it really fragged a lot of people's minds, because people went in ready for Remember the Titans and they got, you know, they got Requiem for a Dream, and I think it just fragged people. Have you ever watched Glory Road? Glory Road. I have not watched Glory Road. It looks like a basketball movie. I'll have to check it out. Has Al Pacino made a bad film before Jack and Jill? Yeah, Al Pacino's he's made some stinkers. He's been in so many movies. He's been in like 100 movies. What is Gene Hackman's best movie? Mississippi Burning, probably. If I just had to pull one off the top of my head, let me look. Unforgiven, Mississippi Burning, French Connection. Oh, okay. So I think Mississippi Burning would be my fast answer. I think my answer with some thought behind it would probably be Royal Tenenbaums. Yeah. Any chance we watch Breaking Away? Again, guys, I would love to watch a lot of these movies. Another Dennis Quaid slapper and Breaking Away. But I'm very limited to what I can show. Again, I can only show movies that are available on YouTube, free movies. So tough. Question, you mentioned Rudy. Why does Rudy have a lot of later would-be stars while this didn't, aside from Gene Hackman and Dennis Hopper, despite it being filmed 8 years prior? The way that people become stars, you never really, know what role is going to spring someone. Obviously, in case you don't know, Sean Astin, Jon Favreau, and Vince Vaughn are all actors in Rudy. I think that's just kind of luck of the draw sometimes. I think that's just kind of luck of the draw. Also, Hoosiers is a classic. Rudy is considered by many from the generation before mine to be the greatest sports movie ever made. Rudy is that movie that like there are die-hard fans of. Yes, we did. Also, I will say, listen, the first movie is about Indiana high school basketball, which is a small market. Second movie is about the motherfucking Fighting Irish, which, if you don't know anything about college football, is the most rabid college football fan base in the world. The Fighting Irish they're not, it's not just, people who went to Notre Dame. It's Catholics, it's football fans, it's Irish. There are millions of people that root for Notre Dame. Roll Tide, baby. It would be close. It would be close, but you're comparing the winningest football franchise in history to a school that has a very prominent significance in a lot of people's life because of a lot of reasons outside of football. I get what you're saying, but as a Catholic, I don't give a fuck. Right. I didn't say every Catholic of all time. I just said that they have a very valid and huge fan base. I heard some of the actors in Hoosiers were banned by the NCAA for playing college ball after acting. Yeah, there was a whole controversy, if I remember correctly, because technically they received money for playing basketball, which it was so bizarre. Obviously, you know, we think about sports in its modern format where like now student athletes are making so much money. Like just for a frame of reference, this year, Dante Moore is going to make $10 million playing college quarterback. So the perspective on athletes being paid for no, he isn't. Yeah, he is. I think so. In NIL. Yeah, 7.5 million. And last year he got paid 3. So just so you know, the movement is the movement in NIL has moved so far. That's fake new, man. No, it's not, bro. What are you talking about? Do you not believe that the NIL exists? What are you talking about? What are you saying, that he's not getting paid 7 million, or that like I don't know, I don't even know what you're arguing. He literally has already made $3 million last year, so I just don't. Fake news, man. I don't know what the chatter is saying, that like the amount is wrong. I know he isn't paid that much. Are you on the Oregon booster program? What are you talking about? He literally would have been the number 2 pick in the draft. Yes. Oregon probably had to pay him somewhere from 5 to 10 million to get him to go back to school. Yes. And that's before endorsements. I'm in ads. So what the fuck does, okay, let's look up a full evaluation. Dante Moore is being paid how much to play QB? So he turned down 50 million for he already has made 2.5 million. Phil Knight has donated over $1 billion in NIL to Oregon. Okay. That might help. Minimums. Wait. Dante Moore is getting $7.5 million in NIL money. There you go. Yeah. Okay. So yep. There we go. But that guy in ads knows how much Dante Moore is making in NIL. Jesus loves you, died on a cross and rose again. Have a good night. Thank you, G Green. I appreciate that. Who's Jesus? Great movie overall. My main critique is the Bechtel test failure, unnecessary satellite love interest, but tracks for the era. Shake my head, lol. I'll give it a positive note too. There was no racial undertones about playing the final team they played against. Nice. I think, listen, is she the most thought out character? No. Do I think she's a hard fail on the Bechtel? No. She has wants. She's trying to protect this kid she's taking care of. She doesn't give a shit about basketball. Her mom is a giant basketball fan. I think she has more agency than you'd think. I think there's almost no chemistry between she and Gene Hackman, which makes it a little bit more difficult. Hi. Sure. Thank you. Yep. I know about the audio thing. I can fix it. I can fix it. I can fix it. That person was a giant Hoosiers fan. Paladin Berserker Jedi. Thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoyed tonight. The Bechdel is a weak test. Use some critical thinking regarding female characters. She had agency even despite the movie being depicted in the 1950s. No, I listen. I would never make the argument that I think she's like an incredibly well. Oh, did I turn on the wrong capture? Sorry, I turned on the wrong capture. There we go. I'll never make the argument that she's like this really well drawn out character. But listen. I do think there is certainly a good conversation around the Bechdel test. In case you don't know what the Bechdel test is, the Bechdel test is basically a test created to evaluate if a woman in a film or story is a like real character or if they just exist to basically be a set of tits or whatever the fuck their purpose is in the film. And it's actually a worthwhile thing to look into, particularly when you talk about movies made in the 80s. For whatever reason, there were just not many great female depictions in a lot of major market 80s movies. Like there are so many just like Daisy Duke wearing, fat tit having leads in 80s films that where it's like, Jesus Christ, this character doesn't have a thought in its head. As I said, I just don't think Hoosiers is really one of those like horn dog or like, cast the male gaze. I just think that the biggest problem is there's no chemistry between she and Gene Hackman really, and they kind of have to rush their love story. And a conversation with another female character about something that's not a love interest. Yeah. Why do you think they decided to set the movie in the 1950s instead of the current day? It's a true story. Do you think there are any comparisons to Gene Hackman's character in this and the replacements? 100%. I think that's probably why Gene Hackman was cast in the replacements as like the old brooding coach, because he was the coach from Hoosiers. Like the replacements is a very, very obvious kind of parody of a lot of sports films. Like Keanu Reeves reprises his role from fucking Point Break. I don't know if anybody has ever really put that together, but in Point Break, Keanu's character is a quarterback who bends his leg backwards, Johnny Utah. And then in the replacements, he's Falco, another college quarterback who bent his leg backwards. So I think a lot of the casting in the replacements is casting guys that like had already been in sports movies as sports characters and like then reprising them essentially. Would you say this movie is an archetype for the coach savior takes team to finals? I would say it is the archetype. This is like one of the first of these movies. In 1985, there weren't like a ton of Hoosiers style movies. And then they kind of like ballooned, particularly after Remember the Titans. Remember the Titans was like a huge tipping point movie where after that, there were like 100 movies that came out in rapid succession where like everybody was just trying to make Remember the Titans. Are there any good sports movies with good women characters besides League of Their Own? Yes. Mighty Ducks 2, Julie the Cat Gaffney. Let me see. Let me see if I can pick out some of my favorite female-led sports films. Oof. Oh, Bend It Like Beckham is the one that I think of immediately. Bend It Like Beckham is really good. When Bend It Like Beckham came out, it was like a nuclear bomb on culture. Challengers. Tin Cup. The Wrestler. Oh my God, dude. Marissa Tomei in The Wrestler. Fire. Those would be the top ones off my head. That tennis movie, Challengers. $1 Million Baby, that's actually a really good one. Adding all of these to the watch list, I will get into sports movies. Oh, dude. If you're going to get into sports movies, The Wrestler is one of my favorites. The Wrestler is so fucking good. But if I had to give you a list of like the most quintessential sports movies, Moneyball is phenomenal. The Sandlot might be the greatest sports movie and the greatest kids movie ever made. Ford vs. Ferrari is shockingly good. Ford vs. Ferrari is like shockingly good. I'm not even a car guy and I fucking love that movie. Miracle, obviously, Miracle. Friday Night Lights, I fucking love. I write 22 Switchblade on set for the game. I love y'all. I love all y'all. Any other questions? You said you'd consider rewatching some classics since the audience has grown. What might be the first in the encore list? Probably Fallen Angels, because it's my favorite aesthetic film of all time. Like a movie like Hoosiers, I can't really teach you much about like the craft of film from Hoosiers other than, this is a good old sports movie. Take a look at this genre. Fallen Angels is a movie that I could probably do like a tight 3 hours on the aesthetic of this movie and how it's made and the structure of this film. In case you don't know, I Fallen Angels it was originally part of the script of Chungking Express. And it's bizarre. It's two interlinked stories, one about a professional killer, one about a professional thief who's very bizarre. And essentially it is a reshuffling of a love story. So most love stories begin with the two people meeting, right? And the structure of the film is that it is the process of them falling deeper into love. And by the time the movie is over, they're together forever, happy always, in eternity, whatever. Fallen Angels is different. Fallen Angels is a love story that focuses on like the crazy random happenstance that brings two people together. So the whole movie is a lead up to like a 30-second love story where like there are all these crazy events that put two most unusual people in the same place at the same time, and then the movie ends. And I love that. Like Fallen Angels is completely unique in its structure. It's a movie that I can speak endlessly about. So if I were ever to do another a movie again, Fallen Angels would be top of the list. Post proof that he was paid $10 million or shut the fuck up. Bro, are you still talking about the fucking NIL stuff, man? It's been 30 minutes.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no shit from anyone.
Could you do Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind as an encore? I would love to hear your take.
Maybe. I love that movie. So Dante Moore's currently has a $3 million valuation. It's still what, 6 months before the season? So he's already made $3 million into 2026. He's gonna make an insane amount of money. Arch Manning's already at like $5 million. This guy's definitely trolling you, bro. I don't know why he's so devout on it. I mean, the exact amount we probably won't know till the end of the season, but he's gonna make okay. O'Bannon, what can I ask? Like, what is your issue that I'm an Oregon fan? Okay. Is your issue that the amount is wrong, or is your issue that you don't think that people make millions of dollars in NIL? Yes. Okay. Well, you know that the amount is going to change during the course of the season, right? So like we can't predict an amount that it's not going to be $10 million or whatever. No, as I said, it's probably going to be like $7 million, and he made $3 million last year. I'll be honest. I think it will be 4. Okay. It'll be 4. So he'll make $7 million total. I hope I've set you free. I don't want to fuck your night up over something that's like, kind of splitting hairs there. People are being ignorant. Sometimes players have made that money in assets. It's okay. I don't want to ruin that guy's night. It's totally fine. My point is that the difference between 1986, where players were literally thrown out of an NCAA program for taking money to act and play basketball on camera, is infinitely different than the current reality we face, where a quarterback gets paid $4 million a year for his name, image, and likeness. Would you ever be down to do an animated DC film? I would love to. I would absolutely love to. I fucking love the animated DC projects. Don't pile on, chat. Yeah, that was not my. Don't pile on that, chatter. Yeah, that was not my intention. I was more confused about if he thought that the NIL didn't exist or something, and I was like, "What is?" Under the Red Hood, My Life Is Yours. Oh man, a little Jason Todd. Did you see that Fathom Entertainment are re-releasing a lot of classics back to movie theaters this year? Citizen Kane, don't care. Ocean's 11, don't care. Silence of the Lambs, Gone with the Wind, don't care. It's a Wonderful Life, don't care. Ben-Hur, don't care. Fried Green Tomatoes, don't care. The Birdcage, Fifth Element, Willy Wonka, don't care. Beautiful Mind, Maltese Falcon, phenomenal to see in a movie theater. Phenomenal to see in a movie theater. Phenomenal to see in a movie theater. I won't miss this. I will not miss another theatrical run of Silence. Wonka, I fucking hate Wonka. Let's be honest. The Oompa Loompas are just kids painted orange, and he's a pedophile. Willy Wonka is fucking kids. It's been right in front of it. He was on the Epstein list. Like, let's get real about this, right? Willy Wonka's a fucking pedophile. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm not going to pretend that Willy Wonka doesn't fuck kids anymore. I'm not going to play along with this delusion. The Epstein list is leaked, and Willy Wonka was on that shit. Why the fuck is he printing golden tickets to lure children? Lure children, mind you, rich children. He knows what he's doing, right? All those chocolate bars were fucking poached. The rich elite brought their children to Wonka Island. He fucking tortured them because he's a fucking sadist, right? Right? And what did Charlie win? A little. Oh, he won the chocolate factory, all right. Willy Wonka's a fucking pedophile. Sorry about that. No, I'll be honest. I've always thought Willy Wonka fucking sucks. I think that movie is fucking ass. I think every iteration of Willy Wonka is ass. I love Gene Wilder. I really do. I think the fucking movie sucks. I fucking hate it. I hate the music. I hate the color. I hate the themes. I hate Grandpa. I think he's a weird fuck. Yeah, I just hate everything about it. I wish that movie was never shown again. James and the Giant Peach, love that movie. Bad take. All right, you love a pedophile. I don't know what to say. You're going to watch Willy Wonka do what he does to kids. That's your business. You know, it is what it is. You can separate the art from the artist, I guess. I'm a big fan of Will. I wasn't trolling, and I know Oregon didn't pay more $7.5 million. That was my point. I didn't feel. Listen, I know you're a fan, but I'm going to be honest. In this one instance, because you're still on this, I will tell you the reason that I suspect that is that I heard it from someone that I really trust in football, someone who works in football. And I was getting a lot of insider information because I'm a Jets fan and I know a lot of people that work in football. And so basically you have to understand this. Dante Moore would be the number two overall pick in the draft, right? Which would mean that he had guaranteed $50 million, guaranteed $50 million, like that. Okay. Oregon has more NIL money and more money than any other college football team because of Nike and Phil Knight. So the way that they spend money at Oregon can't be compared to any other school anymore. They have unlimited money because they are a showroom for Nike products. If you've noticed, Oregon wears a different jersey almost every single game because it's a Nike showroom. So Nike likes to have its team play really well. They wanted Dante Moore back. Moore was due to make $50 million. They will never report how much money he is actually getting paid this year because they don't want it to be embarrassing. But I'm going to tell you right now, if Arch Manning is getting paid over $5 million, I guarantee you Dante Moore's amount is going to be near that. You think Moore would have been a Jet? From my understanding, it was a foregone conclusion. Like they had already wrote his name on a draft card. I will not reveal my source, by the way, because I can get this guy in trouble, but I do know a guy closely related to a lot of football stuff who talks to a lot of people in programs. And he told me that Dante Moore at 2 was the stone cold lock of the century of the millennia. They're really reaching the bottom of the barrel with these movies. A roller coaster survival thriller in Vertigo is in the works from the producers of Fall. Is this a picture from Roller Coaster Tycoon? That's crazy. Don't worry, the Jets will maintain a high draft pick next year too. Well, they almost can't not have a high draft pick next year. Even if everything goes right and they define all odds and actually win a bunch of football games, they will still have a high draft pick. They have 3 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks next year. So basically, they will get one of the top 4 quarterbacks. If I had to make a guess, from what I'm hearing, the Derek Carr shit has some actual fucking wheels for 2 reasons. Derek Carr loves the Jets. He wants to unretire. He's going to come out of retirement. And the second reason is the Jets already have their eyes set on CJ Carr. And they're going to have Derek Carr come in and be their quarterback for a year and then be a bridge quarterback for his family, essentially. Just like Phillip Rivers, I would argue Derek Carr has a little bit more tread on the tires than Phillip Rivers. Derek Carr was, still passing around 4,000 yards every season, still had a 2-to-1 ratio on his touchdown to interception. I don't think the Jets will be competitive with Derek Carr, but I think he's one of the best possible options that they could end up with at the end of this carousel. Really never got your take on McDaniels go to the Chargers. Are you asking my take on Mike McDaniels as the Chargers offensive coordinator? I'm sorry, my dyslexia. I was trying never got your take on McDaniel go to Chargers. I was like, what is he talking about when the Dolphins played the Chargers, or is he talking about Mike McDaniel? Okay. Sorry. My dyslexia absolutely went crazy. I think that Mike McDaniel is one of the best football minds in the NFL right now. Full stop. I don't think he has any leadership qualities, unfortunately. So I think the Chargers got probably the best offensive coordinator in the cycle, because I do think he is like a brilliant football mind with just no leadership qualities whatsoever. So the Chargers could kind of pop off. If you draw up some cool wrinkles in California. What is this? Running into Chad Kroger
one little time
at a casino and asking him to sing Nickelback. What the fuck?
Chad,
Why?
can you sing for me one little time?
Would you shut the
fuck up.
Can you sing for me one little time?
Yes, what?
Just Rockstar. Can you give me a little verse?
I'm through standing in line. The clubs never get in. It's like the bottom of the night. I'm never gonna win. Would you fuck off?
Honestly, can I be real? That was a homie thing to do. That was dope. Like, he wasn't actually pissed. He sang the song and then he was like, all right, get the fuck out of here. Like, that was kind of dope of him. That was kind of that was cool. He def knows them. I feel like he does, because that was like way too comfortable. Does anybody have any more film or football questions? Because we kind of got into a lot of football questions. Do you guys want my take on a quarterback carousel? By the way, I think here's my take. I think Malik is a stone cold lock to go play for the Dolphins. I think that what's his face? No. I think Kyler Murray, this is crazy. I think Kyler Murray might end up in fucking Minnesota, man. I think Kyler Murray might end up in Minnesota, which is crazy. And then I think the big surprise, I think Mac Jones might end up in Atlanta. I think the Dirty Birds are going to go get the reliable arm of Mac Jones. Nah, Mac isn't getting moved. I don't know, man. I don't know. It'll depend. I personally don't think that Mac will get traded, but now all the fucking rumors on the Mac Jones are heating up, and they might get a fucking second round draft pick for him. And if someone offers you a second round draft pick for your backup quarterback, you kind of have to take that. That's so much value. I honestly, the Mac Jones trade rumors have gone nuclear. Zero chance he has second round value. I have heard otherwise. I have heard that is the value of Mac Jones. He is gonna. I think he might be a starting quarterback next year. Seahawks got a third for Geno. That's because you had to pay Geno. Mac Jones, next year, you only got to pay him $4 million. That's sandwich prices. So in the NFL, a lot of your trade value is going to be determined by the contract that the player has. Unless the contract is like astronomical because the athlete is incredible. You know what I mean? Like Joe Burrow, you're still coughing up 3 first-round picks, even though he's getting paid because Joe Burrow. But any player that's not at the top of that list, like for example, Kyler Murray is going to be really interesting because there are a lot of people that think Kyler Murray can still ball, right? But his contract fucking sucks. So if someone's going to trade for Kyler Murray, it's going to be like a 5th round draft pick because you have to take his contract. I even heard a situation where the Cardinals might be willing to give up a pick for someone to take Kyler Murray as long as they eat his contract. So like the Cardinals would cough up a 7th round pick and Kyler Murray if a team did like a 7th round trade, or like maybe they cough up a 6th and you give a 7th so that you absorb his contract, because his contract is fucking stupid. 5-year, $230 fucking million contract. And I think he's in the 3rd year of that contract. So fucked up. So otherwise they would cut him. They would pay his dead cap to him, and the new team would sign him off a fresh contract, basically. I'd take 800-year-old Aaron Rodgers over Kyler Murray. Yeah, and I don't even want to bring it up because I don't want to jinx my team, because honestly, I'm going to be so real. I will stop being a fan if this happens. I will stop being a fan if this happens. But someone's picking up Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson's going to play football somewhere next year. And God fucking help me if he is a Jet. I will actually crash out. Why? He's a scumbag. And not like a scumbag in the way that Aaron Rodgers is, where he's just a fucking asshole. He's like a real piece of shit. Why are you a Jets fan? I was born in Long Island. Or I was born in Manhattan, and I grew up in Long Island. No way, dude. Watson still owed like $80 million by the Browns. The Browns would have to give people picks to take him. Or they might cut him and someone else signs him. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot that can happen. All right. I don't see any more film questions. I don't see just shit. Everything's just a football question now. So I'm gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go hang out with my girlfriend. Okay. Great. Thank you all for joining me, baby. I appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed film night. Sorry it wasn't a Criterion film tonight, but it was really great. I might take tomorrow off. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to play some eugenics at some point. Stay dangerous, everybody. I'm sending you over to Sam. Give her the same love and respect you would give me. I'm going to go get some sleep. Census is happening sometime this weekend. Stay dangerous, everybody, and good night.